I'm standing on one side of the sidewalk with my signs and my kids. There are a whole bunch of other people on the other side of the sidewalk with many more signs and a megaphone. I made plans to meet my friend Joellen here to show our support for the homeless shelter, but she's running a little late. We're all outside before the final Planning Commission meeting for the proposal of a new and expanded homeless shelter in a central location in town. The problem is that at the proposed site, the shelter would be very near a middle school and an upscale neighborhood. People are organized and up in arms against this new location. I'm standing on one side of the sidewalk. I'm for the new location. I think it's a nice, convenient place for the homeless. They need more room, and this place is nice and big, and it's on a bus route. Plus, I don't believe that the homeless are an unreasonable threat to the school or the neighborhood. On the other side of the sidewalk are those opposed to the new location. I would like to say that the opposition are enemies and strangers. I would like to say that because I'm feeling kind of alone and obvious. But in reality, many, and I mean many, are people from my circles of community, parents of my children's school friends, members of my church, friends, people I've met at parties, people I like, good people, people who define me by witnessing my life and by being my friends. But at the head of the line, with the megaphone, there is one woman who has been spearheading this entire movement against the homeless shelter being located next to the middle school. Before all this, I knew her from my kids' school, and we'd share polite greetings when we saw each other. I assume she lives in the neighborhood, and that her kids, like mine, will someday attend this school. She has rallied incredible support among neighbors and the parents of other school friends for her cause. You know, I don't really want to call her the antagonist and myself the protagonist, even though in my gut that's how it feels, because that is just the kind of thing I am trying to scrub out of myself. You see, the universe is very specific about presenting me with appropriate situations for whatever I need to learn. And this is my time for confronting judgments. So, the subtext beneath this entire event, for me, is don't judge. Don't judge. Don't judge. But she, from my perspective, is tempting me with every stereotype in the book. She's practically daring me to declare her the villain. She's saying really mean things about homeless people. She's making sweeping accusations about a population based on their mental stability, hard luck, and economic status. And she's leading the minds of my community down this paranoid path strewn with HIV-infected needles, broken whiskey bottles in every corner, and pedophiles lurking in every shadow. But she's really organized. For all my ardent opinions, I can barely ever lug myself to a meeting. But her picture has been in the paper for weeks, arguing her views at preliminary hearings and meetings. She's worked hard. I just show up on the last possible day wearing a flowered skirt with a straw hat and a couple of homemade signs. You know, I barely even made myself public on this issue, except for discussions with a few friends as we watched our kids shoot hoops. You know, I actually haven't done that much in my life to separate me far from my tribe. I like to think that I haven't had to because of the time in which we're living as being more tolerant than older times. But that might not be it. I know I haven't done it to this extent before, because I don't remember ever having had this feeling before. Homeless. I feel homeless. Outside of my community, a sidewalk apart, self-ostracized, of a different mind, homeless. The media shows up, news vans with these well-coiffed reporters and TV cameras. Since I'm the only one outside where the lighting is good, asserting support for the shelter, I get catapulted to spokesperson for this view. Oh yeah, of course I see the cosmic joke in all of this. What lesson would be complete if not tested? Major news stations are collaborating in this us, them, her against me, judgment-based mindset. I'm on 3 Denver news stations. Live at the Boulder Municipal Building is 9 News reporter Heidi Hemmett. Clearly a very heated issue out here in Boulder tonight. On one side, residents who say, "Not in my backyard," and on the other side, homeless people who have to go somewhere. Outside the Planning Board public hearing, the community is divided, to say the least. Some concerned about public safety. Her speaking. "The possibility of a pedophile residing in the shelter encasing one of the students next door." Me speaking. "I feel like it's really sad that the homeless are being categorized as people who harm children." "Also, we're concerned about needles being left in the field and the children going out to play and stepping on a needle." Are they going to be treated with dignity, or are they going to be left out on the streets? The debate continues indoors while the Planning Board is left with a difficult decision to make. Heidi Hemmett reporting. So after all the smoke from this event cleared, I began to lose my attachment to the outcome, especially because my side lost. I even heard from some guy who worked at the shelter that he didn't think that new place would have been good anyway, because it was too big and the clients might have felt lost in such a big place. I guess there were more issues in people liking or not liking homeless people. My perspective widened. But the thing that I was left with was this tickling challenge to see this woman who had become my opponent, not as an opponent, but just as another human being whose life led her to her convictions, just as mine led me to mine. The other challenge was to keep from avoiding her for my entire life. Not an option, really. I wondered if I had the stuff it would take to rise to the occasion. And then the universe, oh, that grand trickster of a teacher, provided me with just the vision I needed. Of course, I was imagining where I would see this woman again. And I thought it would be on the playground or in the schoolyard, but no. I'm walking towards an intersection, getting ready to cross, and I hear her thunder up the road, riding a motorcycle. Brown, wavy hair, crazy in the wind, no helmet. This vision so dramatically jarred with my previous impression of her. This vision had chutzpah. It had grit. My category for her broke into 1,000 pieces. Just like some delicate glass platter you were always so careful not to break, but had never really decided to like. She noticed me, gave me a warm smile, and waved, which I returned. In this moment where she and I hovered, it felt like some brave new world, some brand new terrain, loving your enemy. Now we can get somewhere. Every time I get it right, the lesson I mean, life rewards me. Relief and good feelings come flooding down as pure refreshment. The woman in Burma, Aung San Suu Kyi, who was under house arrest for years, continually asserted that she never grew to hate her captors. Of course, she hated some of their actions when friends were imprisoned and tortured. Students protesting for basic human rights were killed. But she kept it clear the difference between the two, judging the actions of the person, but not the person. It seems so elegant, it almost feels like a loophole. I don't think it is. I think it's more a revolution of the heart. I could speak out for what I believe and look my opponents in the eye without judgment, and they would feel the difference. And it is only under those circumstances that they might just question their views. And I might question mine. But that way of living leaves you largely homeless. For those in communities tend towards an us-them dichotomy as a way of defining themselves. And once you commit to this way of being, you can't play that game anymore. You may brush against like souls, and that'll be refreshing. But you'll most likely be tilting at different windmills. As your heart begins to expand, you may begin to feel like the whole world is your home. And if enough people could begin to feel that way, then there would be no more among us who are homeless.